Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today on our new Automotive Consumer Trends webinar. I'm Adili, and I'm an agency consultant at Google. This session is co-hosted by Google and our partner AutoLeadStar, who provides automated marketing solutions for car dealers and OEMs. We will start our agenda with a presentation by my colleague, Angie Cucco, who is an automotive retail specialist at Google. Angie is going to present to us the latest trends in the industry, as well as some recommendations on how to be ready for the next era of vehicle buying. We will also later on, we will have Ilana Shabtay from AutoLeadStar to show you how to apply automation best practices to adapt to the new era of automotive buying. We will also leave time for Q&A at the end, so feel free to use our chat here. I will pass the mic to Angie now for the first presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Adili. Hello, everybody. My name is Angie Cucco, and I'm an automotive retail strategist from our Google Detroit office. For years now, I've worked with dealers and retail clients to help them better understand digital and how it can be leveraged to sell more cars. Today, I want to talk to you about how car shopping is continuing to evolve and how you can adapt to meet the new needs of your car shoppers. And then I'm going to turn it over to my friend Ilana at AutoLeadStar so she can explain how they're changing ads technology through automation to provide frictionless solutions to your customers. For over a year now, our lives in the global community have been colored by one main theme: change. The status quo as we knew it was literally ripped away. We had to change to a new normal, and now as the pandemic ebbs and the world shifts again, we undergo change again to another new normal. Let's take a look.
Test it out.
This is an olive oil heavy class.
So let's start slowly by drilling that hole.
Watch my eyebrow. I just spits it all day.
We placed the order for click and collect. We're done. That was easy. Okay, we're all set.
Thank you. Yours. Thanks, guys.
We're off to see a film in the car.
I don't know what I'm tasting right now. It's just amazing.
Thank you so much.
And we're in.
I haven't gone shopping in so long.
I love all you guys.
It looks very different this New Year's Eve.
1 billion people will be vaccinated in 2021.
This is a worldwide effort. Until the world is vaccinated, no one is vaccinated.
We can be ready for it. COVID-19 upended our world, but zooming out, it mostly accelerated trends already in evidence before the crisis. We've experienced 10 years of change in just one. And so we can be ready for the future by embracing that change. We're going to talk a lot about change today. The changes in our world, which has led to changes in the way we consume and in consumer expectations. And while change can often seem scary, I'd argue that these changes are exciting. We're all creating a new world that works for the busy humans we are today. A world where you can shop for and prepare great meals without setting foot outside of your house. Where you can stream live concerts from your favorite bands at the click of a button and have a front row ticket. And a world, yes, where you can buy a car online and have it delivered to your front door. So you can be ready for these changes by being agile and taking action on the trends we're seeing now. So what are those trends? As many state regulations were put in place, dealerships across the country were shut down, closing showrooms and the ability for dealers to move metal. Yet consumers did not stop shopping or purchasing vehicles as a new need for transportation emerged. The ability to travel safely from the comfort of their own vehicle and a new way to purchase emerged as well, online. Auto shoppers turned to Google to understand if they could or should purchase a car. We saw "Is now a good time to buy a car?" spike 900% in March when the pandemic hit. And if we look at sales reports, we see that customers are staying in market. There was a 12% increase in Q1 vehicle sales despite the major disruptions we've faced. And buyers are spending more to be there, with the average price last quarter hitting a record of over $37,000. That's up $3,000 from Q1 last year and $4,000 from Q1 2019. And during the pandemic, you can even see a temporary but massive spike in 2020. Given this, it's not surprising that new vehicle sales, after an understandable dip during the height of the pandemic, have rebounded, beating all predictions. So car shoppers will not be deterred, despite global pandemics, shutdowns, inventory shortages, and now chip shortages. They're in market more than ever, searching more than ever, willing to pay more than ever, and they are yours for the taking. And here's another trend of note. As consumers become more comfortable in this new normal and start to purchase again, there's been an interesting shift in the market. People are buying cars for new reasons, such as personal safety and health, and new demographics of people are buying as well. A recent Cars.com survey reported that 20% of respondents who didn't own their own car were considering purchasing one. As well, being forced out of offices into their homes for work has had people reevaluating their immediate surroundings. So 16% of adults, that's about 39 million people, are planning to move as a result of COVID-19. Now, this figure is up from 10% in 2019. So people are looking for more space, but also to be maybe in a community more aligned with their values. And moving spurs car buying. People who relocate are twice as likely to buy a car. Major life events also instigate car buying. In fact, our research shows us that more than 40% of vehicle sales are motivated by a life event, like marriage, retirement, or a new baby. So many life events have been delayed last year, paused, and now accelerated due to the pandemic, that 2021 has the potential to really stimulate vehicle sales for when they occur this year. Millennials are experiencing these types of life events in large numbers and are on track to become the largest buying group. As you can see from this graph, millennials, that's in blue, and Gen Z in the orange, are the only generational groups actually increasing in car purchases. Now, these buyers consider more brands, are less brand loyal, and more likely to no longer be reachable on TV. They, like all other shoppers, have to do a lot of research to find the right vehicle. The two best-selling segments, CUVs and trucks, will make up a majority of the new launches in the next 3 years, making it even more difficult for shoppers to decide. Now, you can see that saturation in the market already today. And just think, there will be a 40% increase in vehicle launches between this year and 2024 versus the last 20 years. So getting your message out is even more important in these crowded spaces, because 91% of shoppers consider multiple brands while researching their purchase. Now, historically, our survey data shows that purchasers consider and research about 2 to 3 brands. Last year, we found that this number had increased, and now purchasers are actually researching 4 to 5 on average. And when they're researching, almost 3/4 of their brand searches were on competitors, so brands they didn't end up buying. That means that only 1/4 of their brand searches were for who they ended up buying. Shoppers are doing their due diligence, finding out what's best for them, and you should have a presence even when they're searching for your competition. Now, I just mentioned that there will be a huge increase in launches in the next few years, but something to note is that 1/4 of all model launches will be EVs, which equals 91 new electric models. Think about that. That's really exciting, and we believe the time is now to talk to these consumers. We've seen from our research with Kantar earlier this year that buyers are new to the segment, less loyal, with a higher consideration set, and have a longer research time versus non-EV car buyers. Now, these kinds of changes will only continue to build in the months and years to come. And if you're anything like me, they might leave you with a feeling of uncertainty about what the future might bring, or questioning how to be ready for what's coming our way next. Today, there are 2 new auto shopper expectations you cannot afford to miss. 63% of purchasers would consider ordering their future car purchase online and having it delivered to their home. 73% of car shoppers are comfortable negotiating the purchase completely online. Despite this, the experience has not really changed yet. If anyone wonders what 2 hours and 46 minutes means, it's the average amount of time a car shopper spends in a dealership. That's not really the experience they're looking to have. We're seeing that some dealers are beginning to advance their digital transformation. They're not waiting. We've seen many work to adapt quickly, from offering virtual research and test drives to enabling digital purchases and contactless delivery to support their e-commerce efforts. Businesses that are listening to customers and delivering what they want, less time in dealerships, transparent online pricing, and at-home test drives, are those that will create loyalty and win share. Because this trend is accelerating. In March of 2020, nearly 1 in 10 car buyers in the US said they made their purchase online, compared to 2018 when only 1% of car buyers in the US bought online. Now, we're predicting that number to increase to 25% by 2025, but personally, I think we'll be there faster. Now, this desire for online car buying represents a new challenge that for many of you may be existential. How do you adapt your business to this changing world and meet your customers where they are online instead of compelling them to come to you? Now, you don't have to have all the answers today, but you should get started. And you start by having a strong, always-on digital presence in which you're delivering the right message to the right shopper at the right time. And that's a tall order, but you do that by understanding who your customer really is and by knowing these trends. So let's recap that for just a moment because we just went through a lot. Here are your need to knows. First, the pandemic has moved us all online. It's accelerated online research and car shopping to levels never seen previously. Next, despite shutdowns and hardships, shoppers are in market in higher levels than ever before and willing to pay for the car they want. Hundreds of new vehicles are being launched in the next 3 years, of which 26% will be EVs, creating a more crowded space ripe for cross-shopping. And finally, car shoppers want the car buying process to be digital. So how do you do it? How can you stand out from the crowd and target those shoppers who are most likely to buy from you and give them a great personalized digital experience? Do you need to come up with thousands of keywords, thousands of ads targeting hundreds of audiences and dozens of geos? No, you don't. You automate. You let the machine do it. We want to simplify the way you meet your customers online by helping you with technology. If you were to really target all the audiences that matter to you, then your process could look something like that last slide I just showed you. But the good news is that through breakthroughs in artificial intelligence and machine learning, we can now automate this process, letting computers make actionable sense of data and signals in real time at scale, using smart bidding and targeting tools to drive better performance with much less effort. Automation helps us reimagine auto shopping, allowing you to capture demand in a dynamic way and create that frictionless online experience your customers crave. So just what is machine learning? Simply put, it's the science of getting computers to learn and act like humans do, and then getting them to continue learning on their own. Computers begin to use the data we give them to improve and learn in real-time situations. Here are a couple of examples. Let's say you have a song stuck in your head. Google search can help you find the name of that song using machine learning. Just play, sing, or even hum it. Another example, if you misspell a word when searching on Google, we'll try to suggest the correct spelling to give you the right result. We've been doing this for years, but the recent introduction of machine learning into Google's search spelling algorithm improved it more in one day than in the previous 5 years combined. And we've proven through a series of machine learning simulations that applying real-time understanding works even for advertising. So in a research study called Machine Earning, applying machine learning to ads targeting to find the right in-market shoppers drove an 11% higher purchase intent and 7% higher click-through rate when compared with ads just using basic personalization. Advertisers also saw a 31% improvement to brand love and 28% improvement to brand trust overall. So we know automation works because we've seen it in action. So I'd like to close my section here by sharing a case study with you from a dealer in North Dakota. Ede Chrysler activated paid search with AutoLeadStar to apply automation technology to their Google Ads efforts, and they saw double-digit increases in leads and sales. When looking at their results year over year, immediately after activation in January, they saw a 24% increase in leads at a 34% lower cost, and more importantly, a 14% increase in sales. Now that was already great news, but with automation and machine learning, the longer the system has to learn, the better you do over time. So their cost per lead continued to drop from $28 a lead in January to $24 a lead in March, and leads and sales continued to increase until they were at nearly 50% year-over-year levels. So the key takeaway is this is your moment. It's a momentous time of change with greater car shopper enthusiasm than ever before and greater expectations. We believe the path forward for auto is to offer shoppers the ability to move frictionlessly between online and offline experiences. And the best way to do that is to apply technology to the problem and automate. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ilana to show you how it's done. So I'm going to stop my presenting so that Ilana can pick it up.
Thank you. I'll just verify. Hold on one moment. Bear with me here. Hopefully my Wi-Fi won't fail us.
It won't.
Can you see my screen? Angie, I'm going to verify with you. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. And you could see the first slide of the presentation.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Angie, for the amazing presentation. And thank you everyone on this call. This is a great way to open our eyes to the future for dealerships. And Angie, again, you did a wonderful job setting that up for us. I'm Ilana Shabtay, for those of you who don't know me. I'm the Director of Marketing at AutoLeadStar. And I'll segue now into how dealerships can respond to the changing consumer trends that Angie spoke about in the first half of this webinar and how technology plays a huge role in that. And we've seen technology play a huge role in responding to consumer changes before, right? And obviously these companies are familiar with you. So let's think back for a second to the days of Blockbuster and taxis. I know some of us still take taxis and bank transfers. Consumers were slowly becoming high maintenance and wanted more on-demand solutions when we were involved in all of these, habits and pastimes. Because Amazon was becoming more popular, for example, and companies like Zappos had stellar customer performance, and that was obviously sticking out for customers as well. So companies like Netflix, Uber, Venmo, and of course the list goes on, came in with a technology to move consumers closer to what they wanted, which was fast, convenient, simple, right? That's what we all want. So instead of waiting in the rain for a taxi, which I thought was the luxury alternative to taking public transportation, all of a sudden I was able to order a taxi from my phone, from an app on my phone, from this amazing technology that emerged. And instead of scrambling for the next ATM to take out cash before going out with friends, I'm now able to just Venmo and split the bill that way. So these technologies, these companies really changed the way that we do things, and they offered a response to the changing consumer behavior. That's exactly what AutoLeadStar is doing for automotive right now. We see consumer trends and we want to introduce a simpler, more convenient, tech-focused solution so that you can be nimble, so that you can be quick, agile, ready, right? We got to rethink ready for what's to come. So while manually updating ads and campaigns worked in the past, and maybe you use a vendor or a partner that goes into your Google Ads once a week, twice a week, adjusts things here and there, it's not going to cut it anymore because, again, we have that fast, dynamic market and we need to react to it. So just like these familiar companies, right, Netflix, Uber, Venmo, just like they were changing the way that that consumers were doing things, you should too be thinking about the technology that's going to bridge that gap between your business and these consumer needs that are changing. So at AutoLeadStar, we have 3 guiding principles that power this technology to arm dealerships in today's market: scale, speed, and specificity. This can help your dealership respond to these changes and do it in a really convenient and easy way. Again, that's really the trend here because that's what technology does. It offers a solution that's automated and that's easy, but also responds to what people want and what people need. So let me break this down and then we'll go into the dashboard because we've been focused on a deck for a while here. When we talk about scale, we're talking about being able to build a strategy that can really scale your marketing, which means market every single car as if it's your only car. Put in all the resources that you would if you were doing it manually on maybe your top 5 vehicles to every single vehicle. And then also communicate that to every single shopper. That's scale. It's not easy to do manually, and it's really easy to do with automation. The second is speed. When I say speed, I mean 24/7 optimization. I mean 0 lag time because automation and technology is able to put into different data sources so that you can really be on top of what's happening and never miss a beat with communicating with consumers and never miss a beat when the market is changing. And when I talk about specificity, and this is kind of what brings it together in my mind, but it really is a separate principle that we think about at AutoLeadStar, which is the one-to-one matches between shoppers and inventory. This means the hyper-targeted, the personalized, the one-to-one messaging and the one-to-one reach, again, at scale and with speed, where you can actually show a message to the right buyer at the right time. So I'm going to go into the dashboard now so you can see this 3S technology come to life. There are a lot of bells and whistles in the dashboard, and I don't want to get distracted by it. So we'll focus on these 3 guiding principles so that you can understand how this technology really bleeds into your response to consumer changes. Of course, if anyone has any questions at the end, we can obviously go back to the dashboard. So can you see my screen here where I am in, it says 100 of ads in just a few steps?
Yes.
Perfect. So I took here a random dealer, Texas Nissan. They are not a client. I'm going to basically demo onboard them for you. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because, again, I'm going to stick to those guiding principles, but I just want to show you what it's like when you use automation to bring on a new dealership to a technology that can scale, that uses scale, speed, and specificity for your automated technology and your automated strategy. So as you see here, it's just identifying the dealership. It's confirming details. Okay, we do this with every client that comes on. We're analyzing the market. We're mapping competitors. We're pulling this all from different places. As this is happening, you'll see it come up soon, and you'll see all the competitors in that market where the dealer can then turn them off, turn them on. They can decide what they want to do, but of course the machine is going to lay it out for us. And then it's going to say, what's your budget? We're totally agnostic to budget. Whatever your budget is, you pop it in there. And then the machine and the automation does its magic, okay? It's creating its custom ads. It's getting ready for the scale, speed, and specificity that we talked about that's really unattainable with manual methods. So as you see here, again, this is not a client. You could see we have about 1,800 ads, a little less, ready to go for this client in seconds, okay? And if we look at just the search ads, you could see in new inventory and between new and used inventory, there are over 1,000 ads. Why? Because we're going to scale all of their assets and make sure that that dealer can market every single car as if it's their only car, right? So that means create specific ads, A/B test those ads, so make sure that the messaging is what you want it to be, multivariant tests, again, pushing all of this to the right VDP, SRP, service page, depending on what profit center you're focusing on. But again, this is the scale. And when you invest in tech-driven marketing and when you invest in automotive and in automation, you're going to want to see scale, right? Because you want to be able to have that market every car as if it's your only one strategy. And so that's how we see scale. And I think a lot of people identify with stories. So I'll give an example of scale, and then we'll move on to speed. We have a client who's he's a really funny guy. He's in Pennsylvania, and when he first signed on with AutoLeadStar, he was like, guys, I have this snowplow in the back of my lot and I can't look at it anymore and I need to sell it. And we were like, okay, no problem. You know, our system is going to put all the resources possible, again, in every single car because of the scale, and we're going to get that car off your lot. And he was like, I don't know, like when I was doing it, I couldn't do it. Of course, we turned on the technology. Within 2 weeks, the car was off his lot. Why? Because we're able to scale that. We're able to say, okay, at any given point, who's the best person or the most qualified shopper who wants to see this specific ad at 3 a.m.? We make the match and we let it go. So that, I think, is an interesting way for us to kind of identify with scale on a more personal level or on a more practical level. The next thing I'll show you is speed in the dashboard. We have something called the event log. The event log is basically a way to be super transparent, which is also a huge value at AutoLeadStar, but very transparent with what's happening in your dashboard and what's happening with your ads and your campaigns. Anything that happens in your dashboard will be in the event log so that any dealer can look back and can make sure that they're tracking everything that's going on. Now, we just kind of launched this client in the past 2 minutes, so there's not going to be a lot in the event log, but yet there's still over 2,000 events. That's speed. Okay, we're able to do so much in so little time, again, because of automation, right? So you want to pack in all of this stuff and you want to reach your customers. Very hard to do that manually. But lo and behold, over 2,000 new ads were created, templates were turned on and off, all of that stuff is going to happen. Now, if you looked at a different client dashboard that's been live for a while, you'll see things happening at 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., templates turned on and off at 3 a.m. Again, because that optimization is real time and it's 24/7 and it's fast. So if at 2 a.m. the machine decides and the machine learns that some template isn't working, it's going to be turned off. Another story and another example that I like sharing when it comes to speed is we have a different client who's in a pretty competitive market. And it was the beginning of a month and the manufacturer hadn't released the incentives yet. It was like the 4th or 5th of the month, the incentives still weren't out. And when the manufacturer did in fact release the incentives, our client had ads, campaigns, keywords, everything up and running within an hour because of the data sources that were plugged into, because of the automation, because of the technology. Meanwhile, our client's competitors, it took, a good 1 to 2 days to get those incentives up, rightfully so. Again, it was all happening manually. So that was the difference, and that gave our client a huge competitive edge. Again, because plugging into technology and plugging into automation to give consumers what they want to see, which is incentives, which is your inventory, and leveraging all your assets with zero lag time is really going to bring results. And the last thing I'll show here is specificity. So we create a ton of different audiences. We have lots of different templates and keywords. You can focus on website retargeting and lookalike audiences. But one thing that sets apart technology are the integrations, the data integrations. And something that we do at AutoLeadStar is CRM integrations, which means that the technology is going to leverage all of your audience data, all of your CRM data, and then create audiences based off of that so that you don't miss an opportunity in real time with your customer base, right? So when you upload that and you connect that to your Google ad campaigns, you're able to show messages to people based on milestones in their lives, which is something that Angie mentioned earlier today. So having that data connection and having it in real time, meaning through an integration that's literally reading this data every day and then pushing out messages based on that data is also going to elevate your marketing strategy. And again, just one last story, because I do think it's important to think of just examples when it comes to these guiding principles. We have really savvy clients up in New England that, were doing this manually before we built this out. So they were exporting CRM lists and uploading the CRM lists as custom audiences in Google. And they were doing this, no one has time to do this every day, so maybe once a month, if that, probably not, probably once every 2-3 months. And while that's better than nothing, it doesn't give you the specificity. It doesn't give you the one-to-one, and it just certainly doesn't give you the scale, because you're missing out on that 3-month mark. A lot of things change. We talked about change a lot. Things change, and you want to be able to, react to that dynamic customer journey with your marketing. So I'm going to hop back in here, and I'll basically just sum up here that it's important to invest in tech-driven marketing. And it empowers your dealership to let go of manual, which in general is just more efficient, but it also allows you to just never, ever miss a beat. So, last year dealerships were scrambling to respond to the pandemic, but the market's unpredictable and it's dynamic, and your marketing strategy needs to know how to respond to that and to respond to that quickly. And really the only way that you can do that is with automated technology that has scale, speed, and specificity to elevate your business. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Adili, who will be taking questions from the audience and wrapping us up. Thank you so much for your attention and your time.
Thank you, Ilana and Angie. This was really enlightening. I've been collecting some questions that were sent to us beforehand via email, so we can start with them. But if anybody in the audience has more questions, please feel free to share them on the chat here as you speak. So the first question was, what does Google think will be dealerships' biggest challenge as consumers continue this trend into 2022? Angie, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I think the biggest challenge is going to be pivoting to online sales, or trying to do as much e-commerce as possible, because it really is changing the way that dealers do business completely. I've talked before, if anyone's ever seen me speak, about the tipping point, and so many different industries have already reached this tipping point, and Ilana talked about some of them. Media and entertainment hit a tipping point when Blockbuster started to go out of business, and now everyone streams through Netflix or Hulu or hopefully YouTube. But auto is now reaching this tipping point where new technology is coming into play. New consumer expectations are here. And so those who are able to adjust and move with the new changing times are going to be the winners, and those who don't are going to struggle. So I think that's the biggest challenge they're going to face.
Fair. Thank you, Angie. Yeah, and we had another question that, Ilana, I believe you could answer. Does AutoLeadStar take a percentage out of the total SEM Google spend? And how do I know that 15K of my spend, for example, is going all to Google?
That's a great question. It's a question we get a lot, I think, because of the way that automotive dealers used to invest in SEM. So it completely makes sense. But no, so at AutoLeadStar, we have a flat tech fee, which I think is a little bit different than what dealers are used to, but very beneficial for dealers because there's a lot of transparency. You have, if you're spending 15K on Google, that will be billed by Google, and you will have that, in an invoice. And then you'll have a separate flat fee for AutoLeadStar that doesn't necessarily change based on your spend, right? So it's not percentage based. We are part of some OEM programs, and when you work with OEM programs, that the pricing changes a little bit. So there is a little bit of a different structure when it comes to certain OEMs, but we do stand by that, that principle that it's still going to be a flat tech fee. So whether it's, buckets of advertising if we go through OEM, or if you're not going through an OEM program, it's going to be a flat fee.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you, Ilana. A third question was, how can an agency managing multiple rooftops use automation to help reach today's consumers? So from my experience working with agency, I can tell you that if you have multiple stores, you're definitely going to have more complex marketing needs. And that's where Google's machine learning combined with AutoLeadStar's automation technology can really help you by removing all the manual lifting. We have tools like smart bidding and smart campaigns that automatically allocate budget to find the right person to click on your ads at the right time for the right price. So we can basically take all of the burden off of you, and you dealers only need to think about your ROI and create clear advertising goals that you can communicate to your advertising partner. They will then be able to leverage automation tools like we've discussed earlier to create the right strategies and put the machines to work for you to get you the right person at the right time. We're past the time and it was very insightful. I do see another question here, so we'll take last one. Angie, maybe you can address it. Will Google put a higher or stronger emphasis on dealership websites that incorporate digital retailing tools versus those that don't?
That one's a little bit more tricky because SEO isn't as much my wheelhouse. I do think it still comes down to people who have the most relevant, up-to-date information on their website are always going to do better at Google, whether it's showing up in our natural organic search results or whether it's having a high quality score with your ads because your landing page is up to date and matches your ads. So I would say as people are we are seeing more searches for those sort of e-commerce tools, right? Like people are looking for online calculators. They're looking for buying cars online, things like that. So if you have those tools on your site, you're more likely to be matched to the search. So I would say yes.
Thank you, Angie. And thank you, everybody, for your time. We invite you all to follow up with AutoLeadStar and schedule a demo to learn how you could effortlessly unlock online marketing opportunities for your business. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you.